Do you consider yourself a crafty person? Or maybe you're someone who wishes they were a crafty person. If you are either one of those people, today's video is for you. We are talking all about do-it-yourself wedding decor, which I am all for. Don't get me wrong. I love crafting and I hope I'm a crafty person. But there are certain things when you're talking about wedding decor that you do want to do and you don't want to do when it comes to DIY, because DIY can quickly turn into a stressful nightmare, like a hot glue mess, and really tacky. So today we're gonna walk through 5 do's and 5 don'ts for wedding DIY. So the first DIY do is do small, simple tasks. So do not, I repeat, do not try to tackle, crocheting a chair cover for 150 guests. That's just gonna be too much. And even if you're the world's best crocheter, it's gonna be stressful and it's gonna take a long time. So when you're thinking about DIY, make sure you're sticking to simple tasks that are realistic and can be done in a timely manner. Second do is do research the cost of supplies and the amount of labor required for this DIY. Kind of piggybacks off the first one, but it's super important. Sometimes you get a DIY idea and it's like, this is awesome, this is gonna be great, but then you pull up Amazon and look at how much a hot glue gun costs, glue sticks, doilies, paper clips, whatever you need to make this thing, and it adds up really quickly. When in the long run, if you just pull up Etsy and you ordered whatever you're trying to make, it's usually cheaper. So make sure you're looking at the cost of supplies so it doesn't sneak up on you and you spend $1 million. And then also look at the amount of time required to construct these projects. Again, piggybacking off the first one, but you do not want to pick something that is going to take 8 months to assemble. It's just, that's a huge chunk of your engagement and you're not gonna wanna spend it crocheting chair covers. Third do is do schedule your craft time. So I almost personally ran into this nightmare when I was wedding planning. I did a few DIY things, just a few simple tasks, but I got probably a month or 2 out and I was like, when am I gonna do all this? Haven't thought about it. So what I did when I realized I was running out of time, sorry, my cat is, sorry. I went ahead, I knew I was taking the whole week before our wedding off. So right when it hit me and I realized, okay, I need time to do this stuff, I went through and scheduled, okay, the week before, the first few days before wedding week, I'm gonna order supplies to make sure they're here on time. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of wedding week, I'm gonna spend it addressing the invitations or writing the seating chart. So make sure you're allotting this time, especially if you are working up until your wedding day, which I do not advise, but that's a whole other story. Definitely want to take time off before the wedding, but especially if you're gonna have a lot of DIY. 4, do recruit some help. So if you're planning to do some DIY projects, recruit some help. So, if you're doing something like I have a bride right now she is gonna DIY their welcome packets for their hotel. So they're just doing little welcome bags with a note and some cute little party favors, some cookies, things like that. And she and her mom and I think her maid of honor and her grandmother, who are already gonna be at the hotel where the wedding is the night before. It's Thursday night, the wedding's on Saturday. So they're going to Thursday night, sit up in the hotel and put together these goodie bags and have a grand old time. Make it fun so you can easily recruit help and have a fun time doing your DIYs. 5th do be sure to leave your coordinator DIY setup instructions. This is so important. You can spend all of this time constructing your DIY crafts and projects, and if you don't Leave instructions for whoever is setting your wedding day up, which, fingers crossed, you have a coordinator who is going to do this for you, and it's not your grandma and your cousin, because they want to be enjoying the day. Make sure to leave them instructions on exactly where you want your crafts, your projects, and how to set them up. If something needs to be assembled at the venue, make sure you leave them instructions, because if you don't, it may wind up a mess. So now we're moving on to don'ts. So 5 DIY don'ts. The first one, don't take on large tasks or tasks that are many in number. I already kind of talked about this, but want to reiterate, do not put it on yourself to make 150 of anything. Like 5, yes. 150 to 200, no. If it's gonna be over 10, you may need to think about just buying whatever it is you're trying to make. Number two, don't wait until the last minute. So again, I already talked about this, but do not wait until the last minute. Also, don't wait until the last minute to decide that you're gonna DIY. You have, your entire engagement to look at the things that you want. And if you're 2 weeks out from the wedding and you're like, oh, I want, handwritten programs, I'm gonna do it myself. It's probably not a good idea. It's not your fault that you didn't think about it until then, but have enough common sense to say, okay, it's almost wedding week, I probably just need to order them or get them printed at Office Depot. 3, don't rely on yourself to make signage or handwritten invitations if you are not comfortable with your penmanship. This is a big one, and it's something that a lot of people do. They say, oh, I'm just gonna write and address the invitations, but they hate their handwriting. So then you wind up spending hours upon hours writing out addresses, scratching them out, and throwing away envelopes because you're not happy with it. And that also costs more money because you're wasting envelopes and you're just getting frustrated. So if you're not happy with your penmanship, get someone else to write them or just have them printed. There is nothing wrong with having your invitations addressed in print. And that goes for signage as well. If you want beautiful calligraphy, signs, don't leave it up to yourself if you are not comfortable with your calligraphy. Number 4, don't plan things that require more than a couple hours of installation or setup. This, again, goes along with the rest of what we've been talking about. But if you've built this huge arbor that you're gonna get married under, or plan to build all kinds of like a cake installation, something to go over your cake, or these huge things, that's so wonderful, but make sure it's simple to put together. You only have a certain amount of time at your venue, so you don't want your coordinator or your family to spend 4 of those hours putting together your arbor. So if you're gonna do something like that, make sure it's really simple and they can put it together in 30 minutes to an hour. 5, don't allow your DIYs to stress you out. As soon as you start to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't get all this done, or oh my gosh, everything I'm making is ugly and hideous, you probably need to take a step back and order it. Don't try to do it if it's stressing you out or you think it's ugly, because that's just gonna upset you even more. Another do that I forgot to put on here, but I just thought of, do practice. If you have something that you're gonna DIY and you're not sure, if you've never done it before, practice it. Order a few supplies way early in engagement and test it out. If it's lovely and beautiful and easy, go for it. Make it for the wedding. If you do it and it's ugly and looks like a second grader put it together, definitely just order it. So those are my 10 do's and don'ts for DIY wedding decor. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I'd love to see if you do wind up doing some DIY stuff for your wedding. I'd love to see it, so shoot it to me in an email or tag me on Instagram, and it'll be fun to see. Good luck, everyone!